workouts in camp before the season starts on the 22nd?
Yeah, I mean, saw him last month in Los Angeles. He's ready. He's ready to go. He's excited. Been in town doing some workouts. It's going to be like we're going to start slow with all of our guys. This is not the normal training camp where most of our guys will come in after Labor Day and be together and getting great game shape. So it's all going to be predicated on everybody's conditioning, which I've seen most of the guys firsthand, and that's going to be good. But there's a difference between, doing your pickup games in the summertime, then a training camp, then an exhibition game, then a regular season game. But he looks great. It's going to be a good opportunity for all of us to improve together. He is as good and as strong as he's ever been. He has his speed and his strength. His shot looks great. So it's going to be a great opportunity to integrate everybody, him with the group.
During that run in LA when he was playing against, Kyrie and KD, I know it's been a while for you to see him kind of like in games, and I know pickup games are different. But what was the one thing or two things that you saw from him where you were like, he has really come back from what might be considered the most devastating injury in sports?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tough injury. I know I've seen him do the work the last 2 years. I mean, it's hard to believe that he's missed nearly 2 years. But I've seen a lot of the times they call this an old man injury. If there's any bright spot, he had it, when he was 28, 29 maybe. So he's able to come back. His speed, his quickness, his ability to explode is there. I mean, it's all going to come down to the stamina to be able to go through a training camp and then exhibition games. We're going to really, with not only John, with all of our players, monitor that. But he has. That's always the thing that you're worried about. Does he have that speed? He has it. I've seen it up close. I've seen it in practice last year with our team, and then also with the Go-Go. So he's had this extra time to really get ready for an NBA season. He's had this extra couple of months. If that's another silver lining with the pandemic, is that he's got some extra time to be ready to start the season.
Ava?
Hey, Scott. Nice to see you. Just wondering, you guys obviously have so many new pieces, young players, all that stuff that you've talked about. Can't wait to get back on the basketball court. But what's priority number one for you? Kind of where do you start with figuring out where all these pieces belong? Who do you feel like you need to kind of figure out first? What's I guess, item number one on your list?
I mean, I think item number one is on my list and everybody's list and, the country's list. We have to stay safe and healthy, and we have to go. The NBA has worked all summer long to put some good protocols in place to give us the best chance to have success. And that's going to be number one. We're going to have to adapt. And I think the teams that adapt the best, that stay healthy, are going to be able to have the most success. I mean, obviously you have to have the talent and the skill set, which we have. But there's a lot of new pieces. We only have – Troy didn't play much with John 2 years ago. He was in the G League a lot with the Go-Go, and TB didn't play a lot with them either. So there's a lot of new guys that are going to be able to see John up close. So that's going to be not really an adjustment because they've never had the experience to be on the court with them. But there's going to be new guys. I mean, Danny, I've seen him work out yesterday, the 1-on-0 workout. He's as fired up as I've seen any rookie coming into camp. He's so excited. I mean, put yourself in his shoes. He's come to a different country, drafted by the NBA, and in a city that he loves already. He's excited. So there's going to be a lot of moving pieces that are exciting for me and my staff and the group.
Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome.
Fred?
Hey, Scott. How you doing?
Doing well. How you doing?
I'm good. I was just wondering really quick. I know you mentioned moving John slowly along, and Tommy had mentioned some kind of resting plan. Do you guys have something specific mapped out yet regarding a resting plan for John, or is that still abstract and you need to put
No, I think nothing planned right now. It's all going to be how not only John, with everybody. I mean, like I said, we've never had this experience before going into training camp, not seeing everybody together playing pickup games for 3 or 4 weeks. So with all the guys, it's going to be, that's why we have a great medical performance staff, sports scientists that we're going to use everybody. Our organization is big on it, and I'm huge on it. I'm going to utilize everybody's skills and map out the best for all of our players. I mean, back-to-back is probably going to be the one thing that's going to be a big question mark that I can see. Maybe there might be some back-to-backs he will not play. But so I don't even know the back-to-backs. They might just be back-to-back in the same city, so it might be limited minutes. But right now, we haven't mapped out anything, and it's all probably going to be as we see how he performs and how the rest of the guys perform during the month of December.
And regarding the rest of the roster, Tommy said that TB would end up being the starting center, so we know for sure at least 3 of your starters with him and John and Brad. Is Rui going to be the starter for sure at the other forward spot? And I assume there's some kind of competition for that other forward spot. What do you have a way that you're leaning? Do you have things you're looking out for? Guys like Bonga and Troy Brown and Denny and everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, TB, yeah, he's earned that right to get in to the starting lineup. But we have guys, Robin, Mo, AP, they're all going to be fighting for minutes. We did this like restructuring or reboot, should we say, last summer before last season. And so we really wanted to establish how we playing more minutes than they probably would have played in a team that's probably later in that development. But I think with TB, there's going to be competitive minutes. There's going to be a lot of minutes. Rui, he's done the same. I thought he had a great rookie year. He's earned that right. I don't know if somebody beats him out. I don't anticipate that, but the minutes are going to be very competitive at that spot. The wing spot, it's wide open. It's definitely wide open. Bonga, Troy, Denny. I can see Denny playing a few different spots. Bonga can probably play a few different spots. Troy, Jerome, those guys are all going to be fighting for minutes, and that's what you have. That's what you want, and that's how you become a better team year over year. And I think we have pieces that are going to be fighting. We have some depth in some important positions.
Chase?
Hey, Scott. Welcome back. I think at least 2 of your 4 media days or first day of media week to this point, there's been an injury reveal. What's the health of your team? Are there any injuries to report?
No injuries to report right now. We're going to have a couple of guys that are not going to be here. DB Bertans is still working on the visa, but should be here shortly. And then we have one guy that tested positive out of market. He's never been to DC, so I can't tell you the name, but you'll probably be able to figure that out after a few days. Some might take a little longer than a few days to figure that out. But but everybody else is ready to go. Excited. My staff, we're all excited about this group, and it's going to be a very competitive camp, and that's what we need, and that's what we want.
DA?
Hey, Scott. Given Brad's growth the last couple of years, on the ball, playmaking, everything, what do you think the best way for John to complement Brad coming back will be without him giving up the things that he's really good at and that he is dynamic at as well?
Well, there's ways to kind of become one. And Brad has improved a lot. I mean, a lot. When I first came from now, 4 years, and he's still at the age that he's going to continue to get better. The game is going to become easier because it's going to be slower for him. But his ball handling, playmaking game, his free throw game, as he gets to the line much more. John is elite. John is elite at transition. He's elite at pick and roll. He's shooting the ball much better. But in order to have a good team, you have to have really good players. And then you need the more good players that you have that can play make, the better you become. And it's also like, if you look at all the teams that have high-level players, elite players, a lot of times and I did it, in OKC, and I've done it, here. My first year when John and Brad played a lot of minutes together, or they were both healthy for the entire year. There's about, whether they play 33 to 35 or whatever, 32 minutes to 36 minutes a game, you can rotate those minutes so they can be off the court. They're not always on the court together. One that helps the second unit, because then you have an all-star player with them. So I have to figure out, there's a balance on, to have both of them play make. But if we really want to become a really good team, it's about sacrificing and finding a third playmaker. So we have two right now. My job is to be able to find a third playmaker that can make plays for the team.
Matt?
Hey, Scott. Obviously, there's been a lot of roster turnover since the last time Brad and John played together, but do you feel like the pieces overall complement their skill sets a little bit more than you guys had in the past? And what does that do in terms of your guys' expectations for this coming season?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, Tommy, before last season, when he got the job, we made a determined effort to change our roster, and guys that want to be here, they're going to compete for one another, that are going to be, they're going to love the gym, they're going to be coachable, that they want to be and play together. And we have that. We lack the experience, but we have to get better in certain areas, and we will. But our skill set definitely will complement those guys more. The year-over-year improvement from our younger guys, we will see that. They've put the work in. I think the bubble is going to help us. We were all together, and they played roles that probably will not play, because we didn't have, 2 or 3 guys there. But we have DB coming back. That was a huge signing. The draft pick, Denny, was a huge signing. And then some of the other guys that we signed, Robin, Raul, Garrison coming back, Cassius, those guys just, they play hard. And you can never have enough guys that play hard, because you want your practices to be extremely competitive, extremely tough on each other, because that's how you improve the team. And come game time, you compete for each other for those minutes on the game floor.
Mark?
Hey, Scott, good to see you.
Hey, Mark, what's happening?
Oh, not too much. Just trying to get used to what will be an interesting season. The differences with what's coming up compared to the bubble is pretty obvious. But when you look at kind of the pros and cons of each scenario, do you envision this season being easier or more difficult compared to the bubble, and why?
No, I think it's going to be challenging. There's no way around it. We all have to stay safe and do all the protocols that NBA has in place with the social distancing, the mask, hygiene, and all that important things to fight it. That's COVID is a challenge that the world is facing. But to be in the bubble, I mean, it was very successful. Traveling is going to be a challenge, but we have to all be disciplined and understand what we're faced and what we're fighting against. And because we all, like I said, the most important thing, is our health and our safety and our families and our fans, and we have to that's first and foremost. And then the games obviously are important, but that's secondary. But I think the NBA, I still haven't got through that 100 and whatever 34, 39 page health protocol. But there's a lot of things in place that we have to make sure that we are well aware of, and our guys we're going to be focused and we're going to do our part to be safe. But it's definitely going to be a different and challenge, and we're going to have to adapt. And you know what? It is what it is. We got to focus on each day and do our job each day.
Quentin?
How you doing, Scott?
Doing well.
Quick question, maybe a two-part question. In a season of this magnitude, it's notable that you're in the last year of your contract as a head coach here. So does that concern you at all? And have you spoken to Ted and Tommy at all to discuss the future of this organization and also your role within that?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the question. It's no secret how much I love this team, the community, ownership group. Those things will be taken care of itself at the right time. But I'm excited. I'm fired up about coaching this team. This team has given me a lot of great moments last season, and I anticipate more development this season. Ted and the ownership group, along with Tommy, it's given me all the resources I need to build this team the right way, and I'm excited about that. I'm proud to be working for this organization. It's progressive, forward-thinking organization. I think that what we've done in the community, it's championship level. We have to do our job is to improve our team on the court so we can, parallel to what we do off the court. But I'm excited about being here, but that's something that I'm not really focused on. But I love it. I love the opportunity that I have and what we're doing and how we're changed things up and basically overnight from last summer.
Glenn?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Scott, how are you?
Glenn, I'm doing well. How was your slow run this morning?
Slow, but I got it in. What are your goals defensively, and what areas of defense that you want to get better? I mean, you got John back. Neto is good on-ball defender. Obviously, Robin Lopez. But what are some of the things you want to get better at on the defensive end?
Well, that's pretty obvious. That's an area that we have to get better. When we made all the roster changes with all the new players and young players that didn't have a lot of experience, we wanted to establish a way to play both ends of the court. And I thought the defense took a slow, gradual improvement as the season went on. I know middle of the season and even in the bubble, I thought the defensive numbers improved. I'm not saying we with what we have, we could be top 5. I'm not saying that, but we should be in the middle of the pack, if not better. There's a couple areas that we have to get better. We have to be a better rebounding team. We have to be able to stop the ball at a better level. I thought Thomas Bryant really made a jump during those games in the bubble, and he's going to have to start at that level. And so as the season goes on, you will see some improvement, and then he's going to have a great veteran defensive presence that he can lean on with Robin. And then we got some new guys and John coming back. John is a big guard. It's hard to, when it locks in and his body feels great, which it does. In the years that he was banged up, it was hard for him to do some of the things that he's capable of doing. But him being able to do that. I think that's going to help us get better defensively, but it's an area that we have to get better. We want to be a two-way team. We've got some two-way players, and now we got to put it on the floor that we can be a two-way team as well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Zach?
Hi, Coach. Long time no talk.
Zach, we miss you.
I miss you too. I'll be back in a couple of weeks.
All right.
So as far as Rui, have you had a chance to speak with him about your expectations for his second season?
Yeah, I talked to Rui, and I met with Rui in Los Angeles a few times. Saw his individual workouts, and he's, you can see, one of the things I noticed instantly, that he's a little more confident. As a rookie, it's hard. It's hard to step in and really let loose and be yourself, because you're always a little you're worried about, you're really just figuring out things yourself. You're trying to figure out how do you fit in with this whole NBA stuff, and let alone your team. But I noticed right away that just talking to him, he's it's easier. He's not so reserved, but I see that. So that's going to help. And then I see his shot. I'm not saying he's going to be Bertans, but his three-point shooting is, you can see that has improved. He has more arc on his shot, so that has a better chance of going in. He's gotten stronger. He's worked on his body. So that's your minutes have to get better, and how you play those minutes. And a lot of times it's not a direct result of all of a sudden he's going to average 20 points a game. But I see an improved player, and I'm looking forward to seeing him blend in with all of our new guys as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zach.
Neil?
Hey, Coach. In
Neil?
the past few days that since you guys have drafted Denny, I'm curious what you've seen from him in various film you've watched, or whether it be in person, and if there's something that jumped out to you that you didn't necessarily know when you guys first drafted him.
Well, through all my experience of being in the NBA as a player and as an assistant coach, now as a coach for 30 years, I noticed I always talk about professionalism. That's the first thing you have to teach young players. And some players are different levels to start with. But I saw his workout yesterday. It was a 1-on-0 workout, and going hard is something that I would anticipate I never have to tell him to do. What I saw, that was high level. I mean, I was so excited seeing that. When you have a talent and you have the skill set and he has the size, and now you have that work ethic, you're going to see a good player, whether it's the start, whether it takes a couple of months, or whether it takes a year. You're going to see improvement through that. And I love that about some of our new players. I love that about Denny. He's so upbeat and excited to be here, and looking forward to exploring the great community that we live in. But his workout I thought it was high level. I mean, he was going from this one drill that we did, or that Corey did with him, and he had to rebound, pass it out to the coach, and run the floor and go shoot another layup full court. He couldn't have gone any harder. I mean, he went full speed. So that's a good sign that his professionalism, his work ethic is right where it needs to be as a 19-year-old player that's starting his first NBA camp, in a few days.
Go back to Chris Miller.
Scotty, I think you'd be hard pressed to find two guards on one team that are as fast as John and Ish during this time where you coaches are kind of just throwing stuff on the wall to see, hey, can we mix things up maybe offensively? Does that kind of change the narrative of how you want to push the ball this year because of their explosive ability to get to the
We definitely want to be able to attack early in the shot clock and find quick attacks and good, efficient shots, not necessarily just throwing up quick, jacked up shots. We want to be able to use their speed and be able to create opportunities. And one thing about D. Bertans, his transition is as good as anybody, and he can get to that 3-point line in a few seconds. And his ability to catch and shoot on a dime and his high release, and having John and Ish, and then Brad on one wing, or Brad handling the ball the same way. We want to play fast. We want to make sure our offense was good last year, and adding John to the mix, it's only going to help. We were a low turnover team, which for a young team that's very rare, and we want to still play that way. We have to get more stops, and when you get more stops, we want to be able to reward our guys with quick attacks. But we have two of the fastest guards, and even with Raul Neto, he's one of the best shooting guards and defensive guards, so he's going to be fighting for those minutes as well.
You had the second best bench in terms of scoring production last year. Do you think your bench has improved, and what next level do you think that they can get to?
I think it did improve. We want to add depth. All the good teams have depth, because you got to be able to. When you coach an NBA season, you got to expect the unexpected, and you got to be prepared for it. Nobody prepared for COVID last year. Nobody had that foresight, but you always somewhat have a contingency plan. If some guys get hurt, this guy can switch over and play this spot, and this guy can come over and play that spot. But you need depth in order to handle an NBA season, because it's a long grind and a lot of unfortunate things, with injuries, they happen, just whatever, some personal issues sometimes happen. So you have to be prepared for that. But I think now we have some pretty good depth. It still needs experience. But we're going to get that, through hard work and challenge each other in training camp. And as the season goes on, the minutes are going to be very competitive. And that's what I love about this group of guys.
Glenn?
Scott, I was going to ask you about style of play, but Chris Miller beat me to the punch. But I also wanted to ask you about chemistry. You've coached a long time in the league. You played in the league, and you see what other teams in the Eastern Conference are doing in the way of putting together, some all-stars like the Wizards now have with John and Brad, and Brooklyn has with Kyrie and KD. But chemistry is something that is so hard to find. And even though some other teams in the East are loading up, I mean, what has been your experience trying to, you coached at OKC with all those guys. Talk about how important chemistry is with this team and what you're seeing around the Eastern Conference.
Well, it's definitely the East has improved over the last year. Even last season, I thought some of the Eastern teams had a legitimate chance to win a championship. And then things happen in the playoffs and the bubble. But I think going into this year, there's a lot of talented teams, and you can have the talent, but if the talent doesn't play for one another, it's hard to compete at the level that you have to win a championship, because there's a lot of ups and downs, but you got to understand that it's a brotherhood and you have to fight for one another. And I think we established that last year, how important chemistry was. And we didn't win the games that we would have loved to have won last year, but we were just about in every game because we played hard and we had good chemistry. And I anticipate with the guys that Tommy and his staff brought in to camp, fighting for a roster spot, fighting for minutes. They're all high character team guys that are going to push each other, but they're going to respect the process of team and teamwork. So I think it's definitely important, Glenn. You have to have good chemistry. You have to have good chemistry. I'm saying everybody doesn't have to go, out to dinner and, every night, but you have to respect and treat each other that it is a fraternity and it's a brotherhood, that you want to make sure that nobody can, break through it and damage it. And I think we have some good guys that understand that.
Ava?
Scott, I think we got like 30 minutes into this without asking about Brad, but what have your conversations been with him thus far, just talking about his expectations? I know you guys kind of expect everyone's level to rise with now the roster that you want and that you have it back, but what have those conversations between you and he been like?
Yeah, I saw him in LA as well. He's in great shape. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, his body is just, he's in great shape. I can't say much more than that. I love how he trains. I love how he respects the game. He doesn't come to training camp to get in shape. He's already there, and I anticipate him improving. Now, will he average 30 points like he did last year? I don't know. That's going to be hard to do with all the added talent that we have. Probably not going to happen, but his play, how he plays, his minutes, he's done it for 4 years, and he's 27 years old, so I anticipate him making another step in improvement. But it's going to be hard to do because he's gotten really good the last couple of years. He's an all-star. To me, he's an all-NBA player. It's unfortunate that he didn't get it, but he's fired up about the group. He loves the guys that we picked up. He loves the guys that we have. He's, the guys that we had last year, he was a big part of their growth, how they prepare, how they think the game. As a coach, you do as much as you can, and it's your responsibility, but it's also an added bonus when your best players can lead these guys and help these guys. And you don't just help them by just, telling them, all the great things. You help them by getting on them and forcing them to do the right thing every time. And I think Brad has been a great leader that way.
Fred?
Hey, Scott. I was curious to get your take on this because every year I hear that even though it's short, rookies and super young, unadvanced players need summer league and how much that helps them kind of get in the groove of playing NBA basketball. And you guys kind of have limited training camp to start. There's no summer league. You guys, every single NBA team has those, unofficial, but still everybody's there, practices for like a month before training camp begins anyway. None of that is happening. Do you have muted expectations for, when I say young players, I don't mean like Thomas Bryant, but like Denny, who would have had a month of optional practices and summer league and all that kind of stuff, or do you think there are other ways to make up for that?
I mean, it's definitely unique. There's no way around it. It's different. But the thing that I will stress with everyone, we're all in the same position. It's not like the league told us that we can't have guys after we draft them or in the summer and pick up, but everybody's in the same position. Don't really know. I mean, I'm just quite honestly, I don't know how that's going to all play out, but I do know you have to just focus on getting better every day, and you can't skip any of the steps. And if Denny and some of our young guys are ready to play minutes right away, great. If they're not, we're going to be really patient and continue to develop them. We have a great development staff. Don't know if the Go-Go, the G League will take place. I hope it does. It's a big area of development for us. But I anticipate the whole month of December, seeing how all those young players, play. some of our young veterans. I mean, we have a lot of young veterans, like Thomas Bryant. You know, even Bonga. I know he didn't play much his first year, but he played a lot of good minutes last year, going into his third year. So we anticipate all the guys, like I said earlier, it's going to be very competitive, and they're going to be fighting for some very important minutes for their career and to make us a better team.
Quinn?
So I'm thinking about Brad's role over the last, I guess, couple years is kind of establishing that primary ball handling responsibility. And Brad is a very different player than, you know, the last time we saw him play with John. How difficult do you imagine it being for you to, I guess, reincorporate John beside Brad and vice versa in this offense to still, I guess, cultivate what both guys do extremely well? Like John's a better shooter now and Bradley is a better ball handler and playmaker. How difficult do you think that may be, putting both those guys together and still getting success at the highest level?
Well, I think it's easier than it probably appears to be. One, Brad has done an incredible job of becoming a better playmaker. And I think John has also worked on his outside shooting. When you're out for 2 years with an Achilles injury, there's not a lot of other things that you can do early in your So I think he's going to when it's a spot shot, catch and shoot. John actually was starting to become a really, you know, mid 30s to even inching up to the high 30s on catch and shoot threes. But I think you can blend those two guys' skill sets together now much easier because they both have gotten, you know, both are good. Both are going to end up being good shooters, and Brad's ability to play make and handle the ball, it's going to be better. And also, you know, also the mental stress of having to do that every single night, it wears on you. Mm-hmm. You look at all the good teams. They're good teams not because of one player. They're good teams because they have multiple players that are elite that can help the other 2 or 3 guys on the floor. And because it takes a little bit of the stress, because 82 game this season, a 72 game season, it wears on you. And you know, when you have another elite player coming back, I think it's going to be beneficial to the group and to your good players as well.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
Alex?
Hey, Scott. You know, Tommy was saying last week that, you know, through free agency, Thomas Bryant, you guys were telling everybody that he's going to be the starter. I know he played pretty well in the bubble too. What kind of jump are you expecting to see from him this year?
I think he does at a pretty high level is shoot. He can shoot the ball. And he's pretty good rolling and catching with either hand and finishing with either hand. But the jump that he has to make, if we want to make a jump, is on the defensive end. He has to be able to see it, game speed. And it's hard. There's not a knock on him. It was a lot of it was the experience. The game is coming at you very, very fast for a big guy. And these high-level athletic point guards or 2 guards that can score, that can finish around the rim, they're coming at you 70 to 80 times a game. And he's able to, and I think the bubble that showed that he's able to see it much quicker, and he's going to have to start off at that level. And if he can improve on rebounding, protecting the paint, making guys miss over him at the rim, that's going to make him a better player. In essence, going to make us a better team defensively, and we all know that's going to be a big part of our improvement as the defensive end, contesting at the rim and making them miss at the rim.
And we will finish up with Chase.
Scott, last year the Dallas Mavericks led the NBA with 7 international players. You guys have 7 by my count, plus Anthony Gill, who's obviously familiar with the European game. Besides you having to subscribe to Rosetta Stone, what is that going to mean for you and your team and the style of play?
I think, like I said this, I had a conversation with a buddy a couple of months ago on why the game has gone global. I mean, it's really took off in 1992 when the original Dream Team was probably the greatest basketball talent ever assembled on one floor. From that moment on, the league it's a global league, and it's not just an American sport. The best players aren't just Americans. I played against and played with some foreign players that were like Olajuwon was one of the best ever to play. But now the league is every team, 3, 4, 5, 6, or like us, 7. It's great. Everybody, the game of basketball is it's an international language. We all speak the same language on the court. And I love that. I love that about it. We love the game. We're passionate about the game. And I think the Olympics and all the things that have taken place since '92 has really enhanced the world, or the world fell in love with the game, should I say. And I think NBA is reaping the benefits of the love affair that the world has with the game.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you all back here shortly for Rui, and we'll send out some details later this afternoon for who we'll have lined up for you for tomorrow and potentially the rest of the week as well. Still working out the final details on that, but as soon as we have it, we will let everybody know. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Bye.